In a quiet neighborhood, Mrs. Evelyn Brooks, an elderly black woman, was known for her kindness and resilience. One afternoon, she encountered a police officer who, instead of protecting her, took advantage of her vulnerability and stole from her. The theft wasn't just of money or valuables, it was a violation of trust, a betrayal that cut deep into the fabric of the community. What the officer didn't anticipate was the fierce determination of Mrs. Brooks' son, Marcus, a man with a reputation for relentless pursuit of justice. Upon learning of the crime, Marcus vowed to hold the officer accountable, launching a mission that would expose corruption and demand retribution. The story quickly escalated, drawing attention from local activists, media, and law enforcement watchdogs. Marcus's unwavering commitment transformed a personal violation into a catalyst for broader scrutiny of police misconduct. The officer's actions, once hidden behind the badge, were laid bare, his theft becoming a symbol of systemic abuse. What followed was a relentless pursuit of justice that challenged entrenched power structures and inspired a community to stand united. Marcus Brooks was no stranger to fighting for what was right. A community organizer with deep roots in the neighborhood, he was determined not to let this injustice go unanswered. He began by documenting every detail of the incident, gathering testimonies from neighbors and family friends who knew his mother's character and the respect she commanded. Local activists quickly rallied around Marcus and Mrs. Brooks, amplifying their call for justice. The police department initially responded with denial, attempting to dismiss the allegations as misunderstandings or false claims. But Marcus was relentless. He filed formal complaints, demanded internal investigations, and reached out to civil rights organizations for support. Media outlets picked up the story, and public pressure mounted. The community's outrage was palpable. Trust in law enforcement had been shattered yet again by a blatant abuse of power. Marcus's efforts forced the department to confront the truth. This was not an isolated incident, but part of a troubling pattern. The officer involved, Officer Daniels, had a history of complaints ranging from racial profiling to misconduct. With mounting evidence and public scrutiny, the wheels of accountability began to turn. Marcus's fierce pursuit made it clear corruption and racism would not be tolerated, not in his family, not in his community. As the investigation deepened, more victims of Officer Daniels came forward, recounting similar stories of theft, abuse, and intimidation. The police department, once slow to act, found itself under intense scrutiny from both the public and external watchdog agencies. Marcus worked closely with legal advocates to ensure the complaints were taken seriously and that justice would be pursued vigorously. Community meetings grew larger, filled with voices demanding reform and accountability. Mrs. Brooks, though shaken, stood strong beside her son, her dignity intact despite the violation she endured. Local journalists chronicled the unfolding drama, highlighting systemic issues that allowed such misconduct to persist unchecked. The mayor's office issued statements promising reform and transparency, aware that the city's reputation and public trust were at stake. Officer Daniels was suspended pending the outcome of the investigations, his career hanging by a thread. Marcus's tenacity not only sought justice for his mother, but also sparked a wider movement against police corruption and racial bias. Neighbors, activists, and officials united in the call for change, using the case as a rallying point. The story became a beacon of resistance, illustrating the power of one family's fight to confront systemic injustice. Through it all, Marcus remained unwavering, a son's fierce protector and a community's fearless advocate. The case against Officer Daniels moved to the courtroom, drawing intense public and media attention. Marcus testified with clarity and passion, recounting his mother's experience and the broader implications of unchecked police misconduct. Prosecutors presented a compelling case, bolstered by evidence of Daniels' past abuses and the testimonies of multiple victims. The defense tried to downplay the charges, arguing isolated mistakes and procedural errors, but the weight of truth was undeniable. Community members packed the courtroom, their presence a powerful reminder of collective demand for justice. The judge, known for fairness and integrity, listened intently, aware of the case's significance beyond the individual. After deliberation, Officer Daniels was found guilty on multiple counts, including theft, abuse of authority, and civil rights violations. His sentencing sent a strong message: abuse of power would no longer be tolerated or hidden behind a badge. For Marcus and Mrs. Brooks, the verdict was a bittersweet victory, a recognition of wrongdoing but also a reminder of the pain inflicted. The community celebrated, knowing this was a step toward restoring trust and dignity. Marcus vowed to continue fighting for systemic reform, ensuring that justice was not just a one-time event but an ongoing commitment. The officer's conviction marked a turning point, inspiring renewed efforts to root out corruption and protect the vulnerable. Following the conviction, Marcus Brooks intensified his efforts to push for comprehensive police reforms within the city and beyond. He worked with local lawmakers to draft legislation that would increase oversight, enhance transparency, and protect citizens from abuse. His advocacy emphasized the need for independent review boards with real authority to investigate misconduct. Marcus also championed mandatory body cameras and strict enforcement of their use to provide accountability. Community education programs were launched to inform residents about their rights and ways to safely engage with law enforcement. The ring on his finger, a family heirloom symbolizing resilience, became a quiet reminder of the personal stakes involved in the fight. Marcus's story inspired many to become active participants in civic life, understanding that change requires persistent engagement. Nonprofits and civil rights groups collaborated with Marcus to build networks supporting victims of police abuse. Together, they created safe spaces for healing, advocacy, and empowerment. The city began to see gradual improvements in police-community relations, though Marcus knew the journey was far from over. His leadership was a beacon, guiding efforts to build a just, equitable, and respectful system for all. Through his tireless work, Marcus Brooks honored his mother's dignity and forged a legacy of courage and hope. Marcus's advocacy reached beyond local borders, connecting with national organizations dedicated to police reform and racial justice. He spoke at conferences, sharing his family's story and emphasizing the importance of grassroots movements in driving systemic change. His military background and community leadership gave him a unique voice, one that resonated with diverse audiences. Marcus collaborated with policymakers to craft legislation aimed at ending racial profiling, strengthening accountability, and promoting community policing models. He stressed the need for comprehensive training on implicit bias and cultural sensitivity within law enforcement. His foundation supported research and programs addressing the root causes of police violence and systemic racism. The ring on his finger stood as a symbol of unwavering commitment to justice and equity. Through public engagement and strategic partnerships, Marcus helped elevate the national conversation on policing and race. His work inspired many to believe that sustained advocacy and solidarity could bring about meaningful reform. As the movement grew, Marcus remained at its forefront, leading with integrity, passion, and an unshakable dedication to dignity. His journey embodied the power of perseverance and the enduring fight for a fair and just society. Marcus recognized that systemic change required transforming the culture within police departments. He collaborated with law enforcement agencies willing to embrace reform, helping develop training programs focused on empathy, de-escalation, and respect for all communities. These programs included scenario-based learning, community immersion experiences, and ongoing assessments to reinforce accountability. Marcus emphasized the importance of leadership committed to transparency and ethical conduct. He worked to promote diversity and recruitment, ensuring police forces better reflected the communities they served. Through workshops and conferences, Marcus shared best practices and fostered dialogue between officers and residents. The ring on his finger symbolized the resilience required to challenge entrenched systems and build trust. His initiatives contributed to measurable improvements in community relations and reduced incidents of excessive force. Marcus's approach demonstrated that reform is possible when grounded in respect, education, and collaboration. As challenges persisted, he remained steadfast, advocating for justice, healing, and mutual understanding. His leadership continued to inspire hope and action, reminding all that systemic transformation begins with individual commitment. And as the journey toward equity continues, Marcus Hayes stands as a testament to courage and unwavering resolve. Understanding that justice is more than policy, Marcus also prioritized healing within communities affected by police violence. He helped establish support groups where victims and their families could share their experiences, find solace, and build resilience together. Marcus collaborated with mental health professionals to provide trauma-informed care tailored to those impacted by systemic racism and abuse. He advocated for resources ensuring accessibility and cultural sensitivity in counseling and wellness programs. The ring on his finger symbolized not only his personal strength but the collective endurance of communities striving for justice and peace. Through community gatherings, art therapy, and storytelling, Marcus fostered spaces for expression and connection. His work underscored that healing is essential to sustainable reform and social cohesion. By addressing emotional and psychological wounds, Marcus helped nurture hope and empowerment alongside systemic change. His journey illuminated the intertwined paths of justice and healing, demonstrating that one cannot thrive without the other. As the city embraced these initiatives, it moved closer to rebuilding trust and forging a more inclusive future. Marcus's leadership offered a blueprint for holistic transformation, one that honors pain, celebrates resilience, and cultivates compassion. And as he continues his work, he remains a guiding light for communities seeking justice and restoration. Marcus Hayes's dedication to justice extended into educational reform, where he sought to empower future generations through knowledge and awareness. He collaborated with schools to introduce curricula addressing racial history, civil rights, and the importance of equity in society. His goal was to equip young people with the tools to recognize injustice and become advocates for change. Workshops and mentorship programs fostered leadership skills and civic engagement among marginalized youth. The ring on his finger symbolized a legacy of courage and the responsibility to uplift others. Marcus believed that education was a cornerstone of lasting social transformation. Through partnerships with educators and community leaders, he worked to create inclusive learning environments that celebrated diversity and fostered critical thinking. His efforts helped cultivate a generation more aware and prepared to challenge systemic inequalities. The movement for police reform intertwined with broader struggles for social justice, guided by voices like Marcus's. As his advocacy evolved, Marcus continued to inspire action and hope, bridging gaps between communities and institutions. His story reminded all that meaningful change requires informed, persistent effort from individuals and society alike. And as the future unfolded, Marcus stood ready, committed to justice, equality, and the empowerment of all. Marcus Hayes understood the critical role of policy in shaping justice and equality. He worked closely with lawmakers to draft comprehensive police reform legislation focused on accountability, transparency, and community engagement. His military discipline and first-hand experience lent weight to his testimony, influencing key decision-makers. Marcus advocated for clear protocols on use of force, independent investigations of misconduct, and robust civilian oversight. He also emphasized funding for community programs addressing root causes of crime and promoting healing. The ring on his finger symbolized his enduring commitment to service and justice. Through strategic alliances with policymakers, activists, and community members, Marcus helped navigate the complexities of reform. His leadership fostered bipartisan support, demonstrating the universal importance of equity and dignity. While challenges remained, Marcus's unwavering dedication propelled the movement forward. His story served as a beacon for those seeking to create a more just society. As reforms took shape, Marcus continued to inspire, educate, and lead, embodying courage and hope. And as the journey toward justice continues, he stands firm, a symbol of resilience and determination. Beyond legislative halls, Marcus Hayes engaged with grassroots movements, recognizing that true change begins with the people. He traveled to neighborhoods affected by police violence, listening to stories, and offering support. His presence and leadership energized local activists, bridging gaps between communities and institutions. Marcus helped organize forums and workshops empowering residents to advocate for their rights and participate in civic processes. He also emphasized the importance of voting and political engagement in driving systemic reform. The ring on his finger symbolized the power of individual and collective action in the fight for justice. Through collaboration with nonprofits and community leaders, Marcus fostered networks of support and advocacy. These efforts strengthened social fabric and promoted resilience amid ongoing challenges. Marcus's story inspired many to believe in their capacity to effect change, no matter their circumstances. As movements swelled, his leadership remained a guiding force, balancing passion with strategic vision. His journey illustrated that justice is built from the ground up, requiring courage, solidarity, and persistence. And as communities continue to mobilize, Marcus Hayes stands as a testament to the enduring power of hope and action. Marcus Hayes also championed mental health awareness within communities disproportionately impacted by systemic violence. He collaborated with healthcare providers to develop culturally competent services tailored to the unique needs of marginalized populations. Recognizing the trauma caused by police brutality and racial discrimination, Marcus emphasized healing as a critical component of justice. His foundation funded programs offering counseling, support groups, and crisis intervention resources. Through public speaking and advocacy, Marcus worked to destigmatize mental health issues and encourage individuals to seek help. The ring on his finger symbolized the strength found in vulnerability and the importance of caring for the whole person. Marcus's holistic approach connected social justice with emotional well-being, fostering more resilient communities. His leadership inspired innovative partnerships between health professionals, activists, and policymakers. Together, they worked to create systems that address both immediate needs and long-term healing. As the conversation around justice expanded, Marcus remained at the forefront, championing compassion alongside accountability. His story underscored the need for comprehensive approaches to equity and human dignity. And as the movement for change deepened, Marcus Hayes continued to lead with heart, vision, and unwavering dedication. Marcus's advocacy expanded into economic empowerment, recognizing that social justice includes financial equity. He partnered with local businesses and financial institutions to create job training and entrepreneurship programs for underserved communities. Marcus believed economic opportunity was vital to breaking cycles of poverty and systemic discrimination. His foundation provided microloans, mentorship, and workshops to support small business development. These initiatives helped foster self-sufficiency and community growth, contributing to broader social stability. The ring on his finger symbolized the enduring commitment to uplift and empower. Through collaborative efforts, Marcus worked to dismantle barriers to economic inclusion and promote wealth building. His leadership inspired many to pursue entrepreneurial ventures and advocate for equitable access to resources. The movement he helped build recognized that justice is multifaceted, encompassing legal, social, and economic dimensions. As the community flourished, Marcus remained dedicated to ensuring no one was left behind. His story reflected the power of holistic approaches to change, addressing root causes and fostering resilience. And as the pursuit of justice continues, Marcus Hayes stands as a beacon of hope, leadership, and transformation. Marcus also understood the vital role of education and cultural awareness in combating systemic racism. He worked with schools and community groups to promote curricula that reflect diverse histories and experiences. By encouraging inclusive education, Marcus aimed to foster empathy, critical thinking, and social responsibility among students. He supported arts and cultural programs that celebrated Black heritage and challenged harmful stereotypes. These initiatives provided platforms for storytelling, expression, and healing. The ring on his finger symbolized the interconnection of identity, history, and justice. Marcus's leadership in education helped cultivate a generation more aware and engaged in social change. His efforts bridged gaps between communities and institutions, promoting understanding and respect. Through these programs, Marcus reinforced the idea that justice begins with knowledge and awareness. As the movement for equity grew, his work in education ensured that progress would be sustained by informed and empowered individuals. His story became a testament to the transformative power of learning and cultural pride. And as he looked forward, Marcus remained committed to nurturing minds and hearts for a just and inclusive future. Years after the incident, Marcus Hayes stood at the forefront of a city transformed, a place where the shadows of injustice gave way to light and hope. His relentless pursuit of justice had sparked reforms that reshaped law enforcement and community relations. Communities once fractured by fear now stood united, their voices amplified by the change Marcus had helped ignite. The officers who abused their power faced accountability, signaling a new era of responsibility. Marcus's military discipline and unwavering courage had become symbols of resilience and integrity. The ring on his finger, worn and polished through years of struggle and triumph, shone as a beacon of perseverance. He continued to mentor, advocate, and inspire, ensuring that the fight for dignity and equality remained vibrant. His story was no longer just a personal journey, but a legacy, one that illuminated the path for generations to come. As the sun set on a city once marked by injustice, Marcus smiled, knowing his efforts had helped forge a better future.